Greetings, fellow RotoBallers. It is time. It's time for our start sits for Week 6. And Dave, I'm going to go first with my start this week. I can't believe I'm saying this guy's name, but he's going up against the Cardinals defense that's allowing the 8th most fantasy points to QBs, 18 plus fantasy points to 3 QBs already this season. Dave, it's Geno Smith. He's averaging 304 passing yards over his last 3 games, 33 pass attempts during that span. Geno Smith in the year of 2022 is a start in Week 6. Can you believe it?
Just seeing if I'm dead. Okay, it's real. We're starting Geno Smith, folks. And on the other side, once again, the kitchen is closed. You're sitting Russ Wilson. He's got a lat strain, which I'm not sure if that affects his decision making or not, but Russ has not crossed over 20 fantasy points but once. And even though the Chargers defense haven't been who we thought they were, I mean, do you really want to have your entire fantasy fate come down to Russ having another prime time meltdown? Sorry, Russ, no cook for you. We move on to tight ends, and this is somebody who's making a premiere on the show, Joey. It's Irv Smith Jr. Come on down. The
Welcome.
guy is averaging 5.75 targets over his last 4 games. He's increasing his reception totals in each of those games. Now, he hasn't found pay dirt yet, but Miami has allowed 2 tutties to tight ends this year, and with people on bye, he's worth a dart throw, folks.
Yeah, let's hop on over to tight end sits. Now, this guy is too talented to end up in our sit category so often, Dave, but I'm going with Kyle Pitts versus the 49ers. Big reason why they're allowing the second fewest fantasy points to tight ends. 0 touchdowns so far this year. Not a single tight end, Dave, has scored more than 4 fantasy points against the 49ers yet. Kyle Pitts with only 10 catches throughout his last 4 games, 25 receiving yards or less in 3 of those games. Dave, I don't like the matchup. Kyle Pitts, huge sit for me.
Hurts my heart, but you probably are right, Joey. And let's move over to our pass catchers, our start of the week. Bucks are just getting hot and they're licking their chops because this week they take on the Steelers team that's giving up, checks notes, the most fantasy points to wide receivers. You're starting Big Mike. You're starting Chris Godwin, without a doubt. I mean, they almost had to break out the mercy rule last week versus the Bills. I almost said Bulls. I wish it was the Bulls. I expect everybody to eat in the Bucks passing game, Joe.
And my wide receiver sit of the week in Week 6 is Amari Cooper versus the Patriots. Now, he's gotten off to a great start. He is the wide receiver 1 in the Browns offense, but I just think this has a really low ceiling. The Patriots have not allowed more than 15 fantasy points to a single receiver yet. I think this is a running game dominant matchup, and I don't like Amari Cooper to find the end zone. He could disappoint in fantasy, so he is a sit for me. Dave, let's head over to the running backs. And Dave, another name that probably is making a premiere right here on Start Sits. He's going up against let me check some notes. He's going up against the team that's allowing the most fantasy points to running backs. It's Melvin Gordon versus the Broncos. Now, I know what you're saying. 3.7 yards per carry so far. We like a touchdown in this game. We also like him going up against a Chargers defense that has given up 8 total touchdowns. 9 running backs have already posted 9+ fantasy points. 10 have posted +7 fantasy points. Dave, that is a strong floor. Like your basement floor. That is a very strong floor. Melvin Gordon, start.
It's 2022. We're talking about Geno Smith, Melvin Gordon. What could go wrong, folks? And our sit at running back, I mentioned how I thought there'd be fireworks from the Bucks. Well, that doesn't bode well for Najee Harris on the other side, who just has 6 receptions over his last 3 games. It's not going to get any easier on the ground either, folks. Bucks, second worst matchup for opposing running backs. And here's another thing. Najee looks, what's the opposite of explosive, Joey? Big
Pierre
Ben.
Thomas?
Okay, Pierre Thomas, Big Ben, 3.2 yards a carry. Okay, Najee's a sit, and in my opinion, he's a sell for 2 cents on the dollar at this point.
All right, RotoBallers, buckle up because here comes your 60-second start sit Week 6 recap, and here we go, Dave. For our starts for Week 6 start sits, we're going to go with Geno Smith versus the Cardinals defense that's allowing the 8th most fantasy points. Geno Smith is super hot right now, over 300 passing over his last 4 games. He is a huge start for us. Melvin Gordon versus the Chargers, going up against a defense that's allowing the most fantasy points to running back so far this year. Melvin Gordon, you got to start him. You got to like a tutty. Irv Smith getting the targets. Dolphins, can they move the ball? Irv Smith is on the rise. We like him as a start this week in Week 6. And then finally, the Bucs wide receivers, start them all because, again, checks notes. They're allowing the most fantasy points to wide receivers so far this year.
And you're leaving the following players on your bench. Keep Russ out of your kitchen and out of your lineups once again. It's time to cry into a pillow and sit Kyle Pitts or start him. It doesn't matter. You'll probably get the same amount of fantasy points. Leave Amari Cooper, deal with Bill Belichick. And finally, you can sit Najee Harris this week or maybe forever. Now, like, subscribe, and go win that league.